The text arrived at 2:17 in the morning. I was awake when my phone vibrated. Not because I expected a message. Because 10 years after my sister disappeared, I still couldn't sleep through the night. The screen lit up. Unknown number. At first, I almost ignored it. Then I saw the message. Come alone. 164 Willow Creek Road. Please hurry. Lily. My entire body went numb. The phone slipped from my hand and landed on my chest. Lily. My sister. The sister who vanished 10 years ago. The sister police never found. The sister my mother cried herself to sleep over for years. The sister we buried in our hearts because we never got the chance to bury her body. And somehow, she had just texted me. I stared at the screen for nearly 5 minutes. My hands shook so badly I could barely type. Lily. The message showed delivered. No response. I called the number. Straight to voicemail. Again. Voicemail. Again. Nothing. I sat up in bed, my heart hammering so hard it hurt. This had to be a prank. It had to be. Because people don't disappear for 10 years and suddenly send a text message. Right. But then a second message appeared. Just 4 words. Please don't tell Mom. I stopped breathing. Because only Lily would write that. When we were kids, every bad decision started with those exact words. Please don't tell Mom. The phone nearly fell from my hand again. I grabbed my jacket and car keys. Then I made the biggest mistake of my life. I drove to that address. Without telling anyone. My name is Ethan Carter. I'm 34 years old. And until that night, I believe the worst day of my life happened when my sister disappeared. I was wrong. The worst day was still waiting for me. 10 years earlier, Lily had been 21. Beautiful. Funny. Stubborn enough to argue with a stop sign. Everyone loved her. Especially our mother. They were inseparable. Mom called her sunshine. Lily called Mom boss lady. Every morning they drank coffee together on the porch. Every evening they talked for hours. Then one Friday night, Lily never came home. No note. No warning. No phone call. Nothing. 1 minute she existed. The next minute she didn't. Police searched for months. Then years. Nobody. No suspects. No answers. Mom never recovered. People think grief gets smaller over time. They are wrong. The grief stayed exactly the same. Mom simply learned how to carry it. Like carrying a refrigerator everywhere you go. You get stronger. The weight doesn't get lighter. I was 24 when Lily vanished. I'd spent the last decade blaming myself. Because the last conversation we ever had was a fight. A stupid fight. The kind siblings forget 5 minutes later. Except we never got 5 minutes later. I still remembered every word. Grow up, Lily. Stop acting like that, Ethan. Somebody has to be responsible. Then congratulations. You're boring. Those were the last words she ever said to me. Or so I thought. The road to Willow Creek stretched through miles of dark countryside. No street lights. No houses. Nothing but trees. The address led to an old farmhouse sitting alone in the darkness. My headlights illuminated peeling paint and broken shutters. The place looked abandoned. I checked the message again. Same address. Same location. My pulse raced. Lily. I stepped out of the car. Silence. The wind pushed through the trees. A porch swing creaked slowly. I climbed the steps. Knocked. No answer. Knocked again. Nothing. The front door wasn't locked. That should have been my first warning. I pushed it open. The house smelled like dust and old wood. Nobody seemed to live there. Yet someone had. Recently. A lamp sat on a table. A coffee mug rested beside it. A blanket lay folded on a couch. My heart pounded. Lily. No response. Then I noticed something. A photograph. Sitting on the mantel. I picked it up. And nearly dropped it. Because it was a picture of me. Not recent. Old. Maybe 12 years old. I was standing beside Lily at a baseball game. The same photo that used to hang in Mom's hallway. The same photo that disappeared years ago. My stomach tightened. Why was it here? I looked around. More photos. Our family. Mom. Me. Lily. Pictures from birthdays. Christmas mornings. Vacations. Every photo had come from our house. Someone had been collecting them. Someone obsessed with our family. Then I heard footsteps upstairs. I froze. The footsteps stopped. For several seconds, neither of us moved. Then a floorboard creaked. Someone was definitely there. I slowly climbed the staircase. Each step felt louder than the last. Halfway up, I saw light coming from beneath a bedroom door. My throat tightened. Lily. The light suddenly went out. The footsteps rushed across the room. Then came the sound of a window opening. I sprinted. Threw the bedroom door open. Empty. The window swayed in the night air. Whoever had been there was gone. But they left something behind. A notebook. Lying on the floor. I picked it up. Opened it. The first page contained a single sentence written in handwriting I recognized instantly. Handwriting I hadn't seen in 10 years. If you're reading this, they are still lying to you. My heart stopped. It was Lily's handwriting. Without question. I flipped the page. Then another. Then another. And what I found made absolutely no sense. Because every page mentioned the same person. Over and over. One name. One accusation. One secret. Our mother. And according to Lily's notes, Mom knew exactly what happened the night Lily disappeared. I stared at the words. Unable to breathe. Unable to think. Because if the notebook was real, then the person I trusted most in the world had been hiding something for 10 years. And at that moment, a car pulled into the driveway outside. I rushed to the window. The driver stepped out. The porch light illuminated her face. And my blood ran cold. It was my mother. For a moment, I genuinely thought I was dreaming. My mother stood beneath the porch light, staring at the farmhouse. She looked older than she had earlier that day. Smaller somehow. As if the last 10 years had suddenly caught up with her. I ducked away from the window before she could see me. My heart was racing. The notebook felt heavy in my hands. Every page I'd skimmed contained accusations against her. Not wild accusations. Specific ones. Dates. Places. Conversations. Things only Lily could have known. Or someone pretending to be Lily. The front door opened downstairs. I heard Mom enter the house. Then silence. A long, painful silence. Finally, I heard her voice. Soft. Broken. Lily. The way she said that name made my chest tighten. Not anger. Not guilt. Grief. The kind that never truly leaves. I slowly walked downstairs. The staircase creaked beneath my feet. Mom looked up. The color drained from her face. Ethan. I held up the notebook. What is this? Her eyes widened. For several seconds she couldn't speak. Then she whispered. Where did you get that? Who sent me here? She looked terrified. Actually terrified. Not caught. Not exposed. Scared. What happened? I demanded. Mom, what happened to Lily? Tears instantly filled her eyes. I don't know. Don't lie to me. I'm not lying. I threw the notebook onto the table. It says you knew? Her gaze fell on the notebook. And something inside her seemed to collapse. Slowly she sat down. Like her legs no longer worked. Then she said something I never expected. I've been coming here for years. My stomach dropped. What? Every month. I stared. This house belonged to your father. That made no sense. My father died when I was 12. No. The word hit me like a punch. No. She shook her head. The man who raised you died when you were 12. I couldn't breathe. What are you talking about? Mom covered her face. And for the first time in my life, I saw shame. Real shame. Not embarrassment. Not regret. Shame. There are things I should have told you both. The room suddenly felt too small. Tell me now. She looked up. And her eyes were filled with tears. When I was 19, I fell in love with a man named Daniel Hayes. The name meant nothing to me. He was your father. Everything inside me froze. What? We were engaged. I sat down before my legs gave out. She continued speaking. Slowly. Painfully. As the wedding approached, Daniel disappeared. The room went silent. I searched everywhere. Her voice cracked. I was pregnant with Lily. I stared. Unable to process anything. He never came back. What does this have to do with Lily? Mom looked away. Years later I met Michael. The man I knew as Dad. He loved you and Lily as his own children. I swallowed hard. What happened to Daniel? I never knew. Then why? A sudden realization hit me. The farmhouse. The notebook. The photos. The secret. Lily found him. Mom's eyes closed. Slowly. Painfully. She nodded. The room spun. When? 10 years ago. My pulse thundered. The same year she vanished. The same year everything fell apart. What happened? Mom stood and walked toward the fireplace. Inside an old cabinet she pulled out a faded envelope. She handed it to me. The letter inside was yellow with age. I unfolded it. And found Lily's handwriting. My hands trembled. Mom watched silently. The letter began. Mom. If you're reading this, I'm sorry. I found him. I found Daniel. I looked up. Mom nodded for me to continue. I know you think he abandoned us. I thought so too. But he didn't. Someone made sure he never came home. My heart nearly stopped. I kept reading. I've spent months investigating. And I finally know the truth. Dad never left us willingly. The words blurred. What does that mean? Mom's face turned pale. He was attacked. The room spun. What? He disappeared while trying to come home. I stared at her. Why wasn't this reported? It was. She laughed bitterly. Nobody believed it. My head hurt. Nothing made sense anymore. Then a car horn sounded outside. Both of us froze. Headlights swept across the windows. Someone had arrived. Mom's face immediately changed. Fear. Real fear. She rushed to the window. Then stepped backward. Oh God. What? She looked at me. Pale as a ghost. He's here. Who? Before she could answer, the front door burst open. A man entered. Mid-60s. Gray beard. Weathered face. Tall. Thin. His eyes immediately found mine. And for a moment, nobody moved. The man looked stunned. As if he'd seen a ghost. Then tears filled his eyes. His lower lip trembled. And he whispered a single word. Son. The room disappeared around me. My ears rang. My hands went numb. Because somehow, the stranger standing in front of me looked exactly like me 20 years older. He wasn't just calling me son. He believed it. And the look on my mother's face told me the impossible truth. This man was Daniel Hayes. My father. The man who vanished before I was born. The man everyone thought abandoned us. The man Lily disappeared trying to find. And when I finally found my voice, I asked the question that changed everything. Where is Lily? Daniel's expression shattered. A tear rolled down his cheek. Then he answered. That's why she sent you here. My blood ran cold. Because whatever happened next had something to do with my sister. And from the look in his eyes, it was far worse than I imagined. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. The man standing in front of me was the center of a mystery that had destroyed my family for over a decade. And now he was crying. Not because he'd been found. Because I had asked about Lily. My sister. The sister who had sent me that text. The sister who had vanished 10 years ago. Where is she? I repeated. Daniel lowered his head. For a moment, I thought he was about to tell me she was dead. The possibility hit me so hard I nearly collapsed. Then he looked up. She's alive. The room exploded with emotion. Mom gasped. I staggered backward. What? She's alive. Tears poured down Mom's face. No. Daniel nodded. She's alive. For 10 years we had prepared ourselves for every terrible possibility. Murder. Kidnapping. An accident. A body hidden somewhere no one would ever find. But never this. Never alive. Then where is she? I shouted. Daniel looked toward the window. At the hospital. The words hit like a freight train. What hospital? He swallowed hard. St. Vincent's. Fear immediately replaced relief. Hospitals meant illness. Injury. Bad news. Something terrible. Mom grabbed Daniel's arm. What happened to my daughter? His eyes filled with tears. And then he told us everything. 10 years earlier, Lily had found him. She'd spent months searching for answers after discovering old letters hidden in our attic. Letters Mom had never known existed. Letters proving Daniel had tried to come back. Letters proving he had never abandoned us. Someone had intercepted them. Someone had destroyed them. Lily tracked Daniel to another state. When she finally met him, she discovered a broken man. Years earlier, Daniel had been attacked during a robbery. A traumatic brain injury left him hospitalized for months. By the time he recovered, his memory was damaged. His life had fallen apart. He had spent years trying to rebuild it. And by the time he found evidence of who he once was, too much time had passed. He never stopped looking for us, Lily told Daniel. But he believed we'd moved on. Daniel wiped his eyes. The day she found me, she called me Dad. His voice broke completely. Nobody had ever called me that. Mom began sobbing. The room was drowning in tears. But I still didn't understand. If she found you, why didn't she come home? Daniel looked away. And suddenly I knew. The answer wasn't going to be simple. Because of me. A voice came from the doorway. Every muscle in my body locked. I turned. And there she was. For a second my brain refused to believe it. 10 years. 10 years of wandering. 10 years of grief. 10 years of birthdays without her. Christmases without her. Family photos with an empty space. And now she stood in front of me. Older. Thinner. Different. But unmistakably Lily. Mom screamed. Not from fear. From relief. She ran across the room. Lily ran too. The collision nearly knocked them both over. They clung to each other and cried harder than I had ever seen two people cry. Neither could speak. Neither wanted to let go. I stood frozen, watching my family become whole again. And somehow, I couldn't move. Lily finally looked at me. Ethan. The sound of my name in her voice shattered me. I crossed the room in 3 steps. Then wrapped my arms around her. For a long time none of us spoke. We just held on. Afraid this might disappear. Afraid we'd wake up. Eventually we sat down. Nobody wanted to hear the answer. But we needed it. Why? I asked quietly. Why stay away? Lily stared at her hands. Then she showed us. A small scar ran along her wrist. Another crossed her neck. Then she pulled a folder from her bag. Medical records. Thousands of pages. I opened the first one. And felt the blood drain from my face. Cancer. The diagnosis was dated almost 10 years earlier. A week after she disappeared. Mom began crying again. Oh God. Lily nodded. The doctors gave me 6 months. Nobody spoke. The silence felt unbearable. I didn't want you watching me die. My chest hurt. So you left? She nodded. I was terrified. Tears streamed down her face. I watched Grandma die. I watched Dad die. She looked at Mom. I couldn't do that to you. Mom grabbed her hand. You should have let us decide that. I know. Lily closed her eyes. I know now. For years Lily had undergone treatments. Chemotherapy. Surgeries. Experimental programs. Endless hospital visits. Daniel had stayed beside her. The father she'd found just as she thought she was losing her future. Together they fought. Year after year. Against impossible odds. Against doctors who told her to prepare for the worst. Against fear. Against time. And somehow, she survived. The room sat in stunned silence. Then I remembered the text. You sent me that message tonight. She smiled sadly. Because I got my final test results this morning. My heart pounded. And a tear rolled down her cheek. Then she laughed. The same laugh I remembered from childhood. The same laugh that used to echo through our house. I'm cancer-free. Mom broke down again. Daniel cried openly. I cried. Nobody even tried hiding it. 10 years. 10 years of pain. 10 years of questions. 10 years of loss. And somehow the nightmare ended with hope. Months later our family gathered for a barbecue in Mom's backyard. The first complete family gathering in more than a decade. Children played in the grass. Music drifted from the patio. Laughter filled the air. Daniel stood beside the grill arguing with me about baseball. Exactly the kind of argument fathers and sons should have. Mom sat nearby smiling. Really smiling. The kind of smile she hadn't worn in years. And Lily. Lily sat in the middle of it all. Healthy. Alive. Home. At sunset she walked over and sat beside me. We watched the sky turn orange. You angry? She asked. I thought about it. About the years she'd missed. The birthdays. The holidays. The pain. Then I shook my head. No. She smiled. Really? No. I looked toward Mom and Daniel. Toward the family we'd almost lost forever. Then back at her. You made a terrible choice. She laughed through tears. I know. But you're here. She squeezed my hand. I'm here. The truth is, families break in ways nobody expects. Sometimes through lies. Sometimes through fear. Sometimes true love that becomes misguided. But family isn't measured by the years you lose. It's measured by whether you find your way back. And every time my phone buzzes now, I still remember that text. The one that changed everything. The one that brought my sister home. The one that turned 10 years of grief into a second chance. And if there's one lesson I learned from losing Lily, it's this. Never assume someone's absence means they stopped loving you. Sometimes they're fighting a battle they don't know how to share. And sometimes, the most important message of your life arrives when you've almost given up waiting.